Okay, I'm going to show you how to set up a Sega Saturn to do the disc swap trick, to play reproduction games or burn CDs on your Saturn. Now, there's a little bit of setting up you got to do before you do this, and it's quite important. There's other ways of doing it, but they're quite dangerous for the disc drive and for the spindle and all the rest of it. So first and foremost, you've got to take the screws out of the back of the Saturn because the lid needs to come off. Now, I've done it already, but I'm just going to show you. There's just 5 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and they're just basically Phillips head. We'll just take it off and just be careful flipping it around. Make sure to hold the top, and she should slip off pretty easily. Well, famous last words. There she go. Okay, now here's what you got to do. Inside the Saturn, as you'll probably see, there's this little guy. Now this, let's get a bit closer so can you get a look at that. This fellow right here, this fellow right here. Now this basically tells your Saturn whether the drawer is open or closed. Because to do the disc swap properly, you're going to need the Saturn to think that the door of the machine is closed even when it's open. It's the safest and it's the easiest way to do it. So basically what you've got to do is you've got to tape this little switch so it always thinks that it's open. And I mean, it's basically any bit of tape. It's probably better to use duct tape, but well, we'll use what we got, sellotape. And let's do it. Won't need a lot really, but we just want to keep her secure. Not the greatest stuff to be using for this job, but it will do. It will work, believe me. And I mean, this is great because there's a lot of Saturn games now. And I mean, some people have mixed feelings about reproductions and all the rest of it. Not me. Basically, I just want to play every Saturn game I can. When I can get originals, I get them, but I'm certainly not going to pay 500 quid for Panzer Dragoon Saga or Frankenstein or any of those ones that are crazy money, when you can get a reproduction or even burn it off yourself. Works just as well. Now, let's get a little look at that. Look, it's pretty rubbish the way I've taped it, but it works. That guy right there, you can see it. Okay. Cool. Now, it's now a matter of putting it all back together. Not much to put back together. Just be careful, that's all doing this stuff. I suppose I should say to you that with all these consoles, of course, flick the power switch a few times just in case there's a bit of electricity left in those capacitors, because I don't want a nasty old shock. Okay, so Saturn all back together. I didn't want to bore you with all the bits and pieces and meat, struggling to get screws into it, but anyway, it's done. She's back together in perfect condition again, we hope. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go over now and I'm going to show you how to do the disc swap. And that is getting this thing to play a reproduction game, as in a burn CD, or something that you can buy off of reproduction sites, which I do. That's much easier, but anyhow, basically now the Saturn thinks the lid is closed when it's open. That's what we did with our little tape trick. Now, let's get the rest of it done. Cool. Okay, back with you. Saturn all connected back up again. We're going to show you how to do the swap trick. So now, when you're going to need your reproduction disc for this, obviously, but you're also going to need an official disc. Now, my reproduction is a House of the Dead, which I got a guy to do for me in Italy. Does repro games, because I'm too lazy to do myself. And also an official disc. You're going to need this as well. Virtua Fighter I've got here. This anyone will do fine. We're going to have to swap this now at a specific time, and it takes a little bit of practice to get it right. Certainly for me, it took me a couple of goes before I got this right. But once you get it, it isn't that hard, and you get it pretty much on every go. So now, another thing well worth noting is you're going to need the same region on both discs. So if your reproduction disc is PAL NTSC, well, you're going to need the same region on your official disc. Kind of goes without saying, really. But anyway, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start the Saturn with the reproduction disc in. It's going to spin up. I'm doing this with one hand, by the way, so it mightn't be too nice to look at. Once it gets to the title screen, we swap. Intro screen, I should say. We swap. We let our official disc load to the Sega license screen, and then we reset the machine. We let it get back to the intro. As soon as the intro ends, we're going to swap real quick again. And if we did it right, which I think I did, there you go. Reproduction disc, the House of the Dead, is loading up. You can close your drawer then if you want to stop the dust from getting in or whatever. So now, that's basically it. I think it's the easiest way of doing the swap trick. There's other ways you'll see. Let's turn that off now, it's just a bit noisy. There's other ways you will see on YouTube. I think that's the safest way. To be quite honest, I'm not a fan of the swap trick. I'm doing it myself because I've only gotten into reproductions lately. Really what you should get is a cartridge, a pseudo Kai cartridge. Or you can get your Saturn model. I think it's far easier to get the cartridge, but it's called a pseudo Kai Saturn cartridge. You'll see 4 megabyte ones. It's basically an action replay card that's been modded to fool your Saturn, basically, to get past all the licensing thing. Basically where we're using the official disc is for the license. Once it gets up to that license screen, you can swap over and you can use your burn. I believe it's, and I can imagine it isn't good for your Saturn long term. I know I won't be doing it much. I've got a pseudo Kai ordered and I'm waiting for one, but I think, like, long term, I wouldn't be doing this all the time. So that's how you do it anyway. I mean, it seems to be the simplest way for me. I hope this was helpful. If it is, please give me a like and subscribe. This is Dart Sega. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.